This podcast provides a platform that will share many different points of views that should empower you, uplift you, make you want to go out and do right. When you hear the term still a man, say, yes, I am. Still a man. Yes, I am. Still a man. Yes, I am. Let's go.
What's up, people, and welcome to another edition of the Still a Man podcast. Tonight, we will be discussing, am I an enabler for my child and others? So let's get right to it. You guys want to do a roll call? Let me know who's in the house.
You got Timmy in the house. You got Patsy in the house. Robert's in the house. The other Timmy's in the house. Elizabeth's in the house. Auntie Maria's in the house. You got Tanasia in the house. What up, Cuzzo? That's about it.
Welcome, everybody. Tanasia, you want to go ahead and give everybody the definition of an enabler? Everybody remember, you got to turn on your mics if you would like to participate, if you want to be heard.
What's going on, Patsy?
Oh, not much, just hanging in there.
So right now
Just
we're waiting
chilling.
for Tanasia.
Alrighty.
Tanasia, can you hear me?
You?
Tanasia? Okay, Tanasia must be having a mic problem, so I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys, I'm gonna paraphrase, give you a definition. So the definition of an enabler is someone that makes something happen, or someone that commits a certain behavior, usually some behavior that's equated with addiction, or some type of, you're giving someone power to basically behave badly. So let's get right to it. So Patsy, you want to tell me some examples of what you've seen someone be an enabler in your life, be it with a child or with someone else, or if they made certain things possible within your lifetime, good or bad?
I guess in some sense I did it myself with my ex-husband, and then didn't realize too much because like he had a drug addiction and he was a veteran, so it's kind of like he had PTSD too as well. So I guess like I was more trying to help him to kind of cope and deal with stuff and to like help him to get better, but I just ignored the signs of like he's gonna do what he's gonna do anyways, but until I realized I knew I couldn't help him. Like I know in my head I can't help somebody unless they want to be helped, so I guess in some sense I was a little bit in denial, but then I finally was like, you know what, he's not helping with nothing, and he's, bills and stuff. And I was, at the time we had moved down to Alabama for a little while, and we were actually like on the fritz of losing the place we were staying in. I was like, if I'm gonna be homeless someplace, I might as well come back up here to Boston and be in that situation until I got my place here, I'm like, yeah. So Yeah, you can enable people by trying to help them, but it doesn't really work out like that. And especially if you're denying they're in, but you don't want to look at it. You know it's there, but you don't want to see it. You're just trying to be there, like, to support them and stuff, but they're gonna do what they're gonna do anyways. So yeah.
Okay,
So
Timmy, you want to give us an example of an enabler or some behavior that you might have witnessed where someone else made something possible, enabled a certain type of behavior?
Well, it's like Patrick said, you don't know things until, but I always say you got to pay attention to those signs, those clues that be dropping.
mhm.
Like if someone says they gonna do something and don't do it, then you pick up that slack for that person, you enable them because they figure, okay, he or she did it that time, they gonna do it every time that I say I don't have it or whatever the case may be. So yeah, you could enable people, but I always say them signs are the, you know, those are the ones that you're supposed to look out for. Warning signs. That's how you know when things about to happen. Those warning signs.
Mhm.
You if the clouds didn't change, get real cloudy, you wouldn't know it was about to rain.
Right.
Okay, good example. Let's get another woman's perspective. I think I heard Elizabeth. Elizabeth, you want to share?
Not at the moment. Give me a minute.
Okay, we'll give you a minute. We'll come back to you. All right, Gregory, care to share? Okay. Robbie, do you care to share?
I'm an enabler. I would consider it to be someone that you probably put a lot of you put a lot of high expectation on their plate. Like, I can think that you might be able to do a certain amount of things. I don't want to get into be really particular about it with certain names or dates or whatever, but I expect something out of you. You're not able to provide that for me at the time, or you're just not trying. And I keep giving you a chance to do better and better and better. And you're never going to do better because I'm like the band-aid to your cut or your laziness or your do not,
Mhm.
you know. So I recognize those signs, but still, because I'm a good person, I continue to just be your quicker picker up, your support that you're really kind of taking advantage of. So I done that
Mhm.
with friends, probably family, and didn't recognize it at times or didn't care to recognize it. I know I probably done it with my own children. I watch other people, women, not to really seem like I'm coming down on them, but they share households with spouse that they are an enabler for them because they know that they're never going to do better, but they continue to keep them in home and allow them to be less than a normal person. They're not even an average Joe, but they're carrying all the weight on their back to hope one day that they will become something in their eyes that they would like them to be. It's like you're hoping you're able to mold this person into who you need them to be. And the longer you keep going with that, meaning me or them, it just gets worse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's go to Tanya. Is your mic on? You care to share?
Yeah, my mic is on. Good evening, everyone.
Good
Hello.
Good
evening.
evening.
What on what aspects of being an enabler are you talking about?
So someone that basically permits a certain behavior or makes something happen, something come about. You know, you support a certain behavior, you allow a certain behavior, you cater to a certain behavior.
I mean, that's a wide range of opportunity. You can enable someone in a lot of different ways.
I'm gonna say I'm naturally an enabler to everyone because I want to see everyone do good and come out to win.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I want you to go down a destructive path. I just want you to win. So I'm gonna say that I am a natural enabler.
I wouldn't say a natural enabler. I would say that you just a person that that's where the enablers come in at. When you're a person that has a good heart and you just want to give love, show love, it's the individuals that take advantage of your heart that makes you feel like you're an enabler or make you have enabling tendencies.
So
well, enabler is not really a bad thing either. It just don't mean that you're gonna put somebody on a destructive path or have an addictive behavior. You know, you could be enabling them to do positive things as well.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true. When it becomes destructive is when those people take advantage of what you
Exactly.
feel in
That's
their
when
life.
it becomes bad.
okay. So I think I heard Josie. Josie, you care to share? Oh. Okay, guys, again,
God damn it, Patsy.
you can turn your
Hi,
mics
good
on.
evening, everybody.
Evening.
I'm driving.
Yeah, Uncle D, we driving, man.
So good evening. I sort of kind of agree with what Maria said. I definitely think that I enable to an extent, and maybe it could be a good thing or a bad thing. However, I know it's a my thing, and I think that I do it because, again, I don't want to see anybody down and out. If I have it, I tend to give it. If I have anything that I think is going to make you benefit in life, I share it. So I guess my question is with me giving that all, how do you feel when you feel as if that's not being given in return? So am I enabling myself?
Enabling yourself. I wonder if you ever thought about those being like that and always attracting the same type of people when it comes to relationships. That would be something to explore.
Because I think we think that enabling someone we see it as a positive. It's never a positive. I think the person can be positive who's doing it, but the action in itself is actually hindering and is actually negative, because when we enable somebody, we don't necessarily allow themselves to achieve the goal. We're holding your hand, we're doing it for you, We are, you see what I'm saying? So they never truly, we think it's a positive thing, but it's not. Because when we enable somebody, the outcome is never necessarily positive. It can be, but it never is, because the person never learns by themselves. They always need you on the back end because you enabled them. It might have been for a good, like out of good intention, but enable in itself isn't a positive thing to do.
So how would you say one goes and they support their child throughout college and, you know, their upbringing, and then their success, and they spread off and they you know, they spread their wings, and now they're coming back to the person that provided or the enabler, and now they're returning all of what, you know, the gratitude and appreciation and the thanks. So how would you look at that, or how would you, you know, what would you give feedback on that?
Is that enablement or is that support? I think we're mixing up enablement with support. Support
So it's the
is,
same
hey,
thing
I
if
got
you're
your
trying
back.
to-
No,
thing, but it
enabling
depends on the
is I
person that's
did,
receiving it.
right. Or no, enabling is I did it for you through college. I paid your rent, so now you don't even know how to pay rent. I cooked, so now you don't know how to cook. You see what I'm saying? So now yeah, you might have a degree, but you don't know what to do with it because you didn't do the homework, you didn't do the hard work. You don't know how to manage through life because you need to call mommy because mommy did your homework. Mommy made sure this was okay. Mommy made sure that. How are you going to be a productive person?
Yeah.
Here's
Here's another
thin line between the support and enablement, because
right.
Here's another
you can
aspect
support
of that.
somebody and then they don't want to use the tools that you gave them to support with.
Oh, yeah, that's deep right there, because that's a fact for some. But on another aspect of being an enabler, when you're an independent, like I'm gonna just use me an example. I'm independent. I've taken care of my kids from the moment by myself, being independent, taking care of myself, being dependent on me and no one else, so that when I got into a relationship with someone that I was looking for to be a, you know, codependent with, that we can grow and vibe and merge together and do great things. It took that person a minute to get to that level, because part of it was because I always made sure that I had my bills and things, you know, had money to cover the bills and not be so dependent on this person pulling their weight. To the point that I wasn't allowing them the opportunity to be a leader.
So you guys, let's be clear about this. Let's get some guidelines so we can so we're clear about what we're talking about. Tanasia, can you hear me? Tanasia?
Yes.
Can you go ahead and pull up a definition of what an enabler is?
Oh, I got it right here.
A person or thing that makes something possible, a person who encourages or enables negative or self-destructive behavior in another. An example is being an enabler to a drug addict does more harm than good. Another definition is one that enables another to achieve an end, especially one who enables another to persist in self-destructive behavior, such as abstinence abuse, by providing excessive or by making it possible to avoid the consequences of a behavior or outcome.
So guys, now we have a clear definition of what an enabler is, as well as a few examples. So if you guys are just tuning in, you are watching the Still a Man podcast, and this week we are discussing, am I an enabler for my child and others? So let's be clear about this. Parents are not the only enablers. Anybody and everybody can be an enabler. There's a difference between support and enabling someone. It's a clear distinction. So, and also, if you guys are just tuning in, March happens to be Women's History Month. So I'm kind of gonna let the ladies lead this meeting. I'm just gonna go with the flow. I'm gonna let you guys lead, seeing that this is your month. So you guys want to give some examples, Patsy, let's dive into what you was talking about earlier. And ladies and gentlemen, let's try not to use any names when we're discussing these scenarios, these experiences. So Patsy, tell me more about the man of the cloth that you was married to, and how you were speaking about how you was an enabler. You basically placated him and you allowed certain behavior. I think you said, I don't know, it was sort of like you was going along to get along. Can you please
Yeah,
like expand?
yeah. So before I even got married to him, and like I saw some of the signs, and I was trying to help him through, like, because he was a veteran and he had PTSD, so I was, at least I thought I was trying to help him by like encouraging him to go to like therapy and stuff like that, and group meetings for his drug addiction and the PTSD as well. Cause he was in the army and he was in Vietnam at one point. So got married, ended up moving down to Alabama, and it wasn't really good. It's like, cause it's like the more I try to help him, the less I really saw I didn't really pay attention to the signs of him using, because it seemed like he was getting better while we were still living here in Boston, but then when we got down to Alabama, it just got worse. And he wasn't helping fully with the rent and this and that. I had left him once and then I went back to him, and it still wasn't working out right, because it's like, I saw the addiction, but I didn't see the addiction. I wasn't paying attention, and I just wanted to oversee it. And I knew it was there, but I just like ignoring it. So I was enabling him with that and saying, okay, I'll try to get everything squared away, bills and stuff. And we fell behind on rent, and, and it was just a struggle. And it's like I just had to get out of that situation, because it's like he wasn't hardly paying no attention, paying no bills, giving me money to help with the bills. So I was enabling that bad behavior, and saying, okay, whatever. But it's like I
So,
just had to leave that. So I came back up here and I just worked hard to get a divorce from him and get this apartment and work on getting my disability and stuff.
Mhm.
so
It
you had
was
an
crazy.
individual. So you had an individual that was a man of the cloth. You married, and a lot of times uh, we believe men of God have a lot of discipline, and the discipline is
Yeah, but you know
usually.
what? He wasn't a man of cloth. He wasn't in the ministry, but I was married to him. So he was a veteran.
Oh,
Like
he
he
was
was
a
in the
veteran.
military. Yeah. So
My
yeah,
apology. I thought you said he was a reverend early on.
it's in the military,
So
veteran.
got you,
Yeah.
got you. Okay, so you was paying the bills, and it was a clear sign of drug abuse or addiction of sorts. And you figured you would, as long as you take care of everything financially, he would eventually fall into suit, like start following your lead.
Yeah, at least like no matter how much I fuss with him and whatever, it's like, come on, help me with the bills. I need this change. And, you know, you need to help me with this, you know. And he wasn't going with the flow of way. And it was always a fight with him to do stuff, you know. And I'm like, you know, I just got tired of it. And then I ended up back up here in Boston. And it's like, you know, I just had to leave him, you know, because it's like, just on how my
So,
mom, it's like, you got to depend on, if you can't depend on nobody else, you at least like can find ways to depend on yourself and be a strong, independent woman, you know?
mhm.
Yeah.
So ladies, let me ask you a question. You feel free to jump in at any time. So you think in that situation, by enabling him, did you make the situation better or worse? And let's go to Tanasia first. Tanasia, you still with us?
Yes. About her situation, do I think it made it better or worse?
Yeah, about her situation.
I don't know. I mean, anytime that, again, I think we think that the definition of to enable is positive, but it can actually have a negative outcome. There's a difference between enabling and actually supporting somebody. And then we also have to realize that when we're supporting somebody, we can't allow them to take advantage of that support that ends up becoming enablement. So there's two plays. It takes two to tango in these type of situations. So both parties or all parties have to be really careful and acknowledge, like, hey, am I being an enabler? Wait, am I being a user? Wait, am I, you know what I mean? Because if not, it's not going to turn out positively.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So, Tanya,
Yeah.
you wanted to share some more. You have another situation where you was an enabler, be it financially or supporting, let's just say, disruptive behavior.
Yeah. Yeah. And now because I was independent and I had kids. So I need to be able to maintain and take care of my kids. I've learned early on in life that to always make sure that I can handle my situation on my own. Even if I had got into a relationship with someone, that I always was able to maintain. I wasn't totally dependent on someone else. Let's put it that way. I wasn't totally dependent on someone else. It was always an aspect of independence for me because I wasn't able to be dependent on a parent, you know, growing. I had to learn how to be independent early on my own. So I went through life always making sure that I was able to take care of myself and any responsibilities that I had without having to depend on someone else.
Okay, let's stay right there. So remember, an enabler can also be a person or a thing. So, and everybody in attendance, just feel free to jump in at any time. You don't have to wait for me to call your name. Just make sure your mic is active and you can just join in the conversation. So let's take it a step further. So let's talk about another form of enabling, where it starts off as a form of support, where it's supposed to be a stepping stone for people financially. Let's talk about people receiving financial aid of sorts, and it's supposed to be a temporary thing, and it turns into a lifelong mission to remain as a part of that program and continue to receive those services. Can someone tell me how that can become an enabling agent for the individual in the family?
That's what I mean by what point does support start to turn into enablement? Because somehow the government is supporting you with that whole thing that you just said.
When you abuse it,
that's
when you know you don't need it, but you continue to use it.
Yes.
When you know that you're able to say work, or you're able to put in 40 hours, you're strong, you're healthy, but you choose not to.
Do
So
people know
now
when
it's
they're abusing a system?
Yes, that's
yeah,
because the government gives you a chance to be honorable, to say, I don't need this,
That,
but there's
that's where
people
the
out
real.
there
Mm-hmm.
that does the opposite. They just keep taking and taking until the government catch up with them. Then they start saying, well, such and such did it and they got away with it. Why can't I do it?
Or they keep having kids.
Okay.
That too.
Now, let's bring it back to the government. So let's say you have an assigned caseworker and she knows he or she is capable of doing more of what they're doing so that they can provide financially for their family or themselves. And he or she continues to make sure that their service is active, that their benefits are active. Is that worker an enabler, or is she just doing her job? Or should I say he or she is continuing to do their job?
That's hard to say because you're expecting that worker to know if that person is coming in there asking for assistance is lying, or you don't know what their situation really is.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't say that she's being an enabler. The person that's coming in there and trying to get over is the one is being an enabler to themselves.
right.
They're not allowing themselves to grow or to be out there and be independent.
Maybe they just don't want to be independent. Maybe they just don't want to grow. They want to continue to live off of the system. That's how some people are. They stuck. Or I wouldn't say stuck. They choose to be stuck by not wanting to do nothing more. But then when things come to a halt, they say, oh, that was a little bit of cheap money anyways. That little pump $300 I was getting wasn't nothing. I could make more than that, by working.
Okay, so let's expand. So let's talk about the male or female that is now currently receiving supplemental services. And now this person has to go to work, because their cutoff point has come. And now this person doesn't want to go to work, but she requires daycare services because the child is of daycare years and it's time for them to start beginning their learning, education. And mom or grandmom or someone else in the family steps in and provide a service while he or she is allowed to stay home and not productively or actively seek employment to improve their current situation. Is that enabling behavior?
I think it is, because a lot of times, like from what I hear from other people that I've dealt with and talked to, like they have a choice of either going to school or getting a part-time job while this child is in daycare. So they're required to do one or the other. And to me, it's like the best option if you're gonna do either or as a choice of what is put in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
I think going to school to get some training and some education and get that on underneath your belt and do some internship stuff, because yeah, that's that to me makes more sense. So this way, you have a better way to provide for your child, and as you're working with your worker, whoever you're working with, and for advocacy, you can talk to them and say, look, and if I do this and I find a job, I'll still, no matter what I'm making, I still need help with childcare, this and that. Depending if the child is still underneath 5, having WIC, and even at that, it's like after they turn 5, food stamp supplements for the child and stuff like that. It's like, it's not really a bad thing for them to tell you, in order for them to go to childcare, what are you doing? You have to do something during the day to while the child is in daycare. You're not just gonna sit on your behind and twiddle your thumbs while the kids are in school. Depending on if you just have one or more, you got to do something,
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
Here
my.
ladies.
comes an enablement when you watching the kids while the person's at work. That's fine, but it's when they're not at work and they have nothing to do, and you still watching the kids because they don't want to watch their own kids. That's enabled.
Okay, because I was just about to get to that point, and you brought me right to it. I was about to say, let's go ahead and bust this wide open. So, all right, moms, let's talk about situations where your child, be it your daughter or your son, or someone else that you're responsible, be it your nephew, niece, or another charge, you have guardianship. And let's say this child decides they don't want to go to school. They don't want to get a trade. They don't want to do nothing. They just want to hang out. They just want to drink. They want to smoke. They want to party. They don't want to do nothing productive. However, you are displaying positive behavior when you go to work every single day, and you have taken it upon yourself to provide daycare services when you are not at work. You watch the kid or kids, or you find someone to step in and watch the kid in your absence. But mom or dad is able to continue to be selfish and just totally do whatever they want and never take no responsibility, whereas their children or child is concerned. Is that enabling behavior?
Is that enabling behavior?
Yeah, I'm asking you guys. Do you think that as enabling behavior?
It can be. It can be enabling behavior. It can be until you get fed up.
So, why don't you say at first you're supporting them because you got your best interest, at heart, because those are a part of you. Those are your grandbabies.
That's the
So
perfect
you're
way of
you're
putting it.
hoping your daughter or your son is gonna eventually get it together. And if they don't, then that's when you look at it that you're enabling them to have this behavior and continue to do such things like that. But it's really come from your heart. You're supporting your grandbaby. You're trying to make sure they're safe. You want to make sure they get the best world possible. A mom and dad can smoke, drink, party, all that. Long as my grandbaby's okay with me, I'm figuring I'm supporting them. But you will get tired and you will let them know if you didn't want to have this child, you should have never brought into this world. But if we're going to continue to do such, then we need to go about it a different way. Maybe you want to sign over all rights to me custody because I'm already doing the whole overall for the child already because I love my grandbaby. So it's support, but then sometimes they're taking advantage of your support, and then you gotta let them know.
Yeah.
Yeah, like at
That,
first
that's
it's
a good way
support,
of
but
putting
after a while, when they the one line that just made me fall to the ground is, I need mommy time. I was like, you have mommy time when these kids are 18. I did not
Right.
tell you to have them.
Yes, yes, you need, yes. That's, I never had mommy time. And let me, first of all, when I wanted to do anything, I took my kids with me wherever I went.
Me too.
Wherever I went.
It sounds like you
right
didn't have a choice. You wasn't given a choice. You didn't have somebody that enabled that behavior. It wasn't someone just said, okay, mommy needs to have a good time too. Mommy needs to have a life too. You had someone that said, you know, you have to be responsible.
Well, it's just like how when we was coming up, our mother went to parties. She didn't have no babysitter. We at the party with her, but we in the room while they outside partying. That's how it was.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I think like for my mother, I think what she did was like with us going to school, that's where she had her time. You know, I would go way out summer long every other weekend. We came home.
Open.
That was my mother's time to be by herself and do what she wanted to do. You see what I'm saying? So it's like I figure out like how do you get your mommy time or daddy time or whatever if you're a single parent? Like, what do you do to get them kids from underfoot and out your face for a little while? And it's like sometimes even when we were home and like in between or like in between school getting out and going to summer camp and stuff, my mother be like, you know what, you need to get out and take your bikes and take the dog and get out the house for a while just to get out of her hair, you know? It's like you gotta figure out a way to kind of like have a little space to yourself, but maintaining your parenthood, you know?
That's why I used to put my kids to bed at 6 o'clock. By 6 o'clock, you're in bed. The rest of the time is mine. Don't want to hear you.
So let me ask you guys this question.
That is how you get your time. When you
let's
get
stay
them
right
on the
here.
schedule, get the kids on the schedule, feed them on time, and they know at this time, 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, you getting ready to get ready to go to bed. You're winding down. 8 o'clock, you in bed.
Okay, so let me say this to you guys. So if mom or dad, be it whatever which one you are, that becomes the enabler, and you're making it possible for the co-parent to remain irresponsible. So again, they can do whatever they like and they don't have to be held accountable for their actions. You know, they're not assisting financially, they're not assisting with their presence, visitation, or just being there and offering support. They're not cooking, they're not cleaning, they're not they don't even come and get the children and take the children to their home if they live outside the home. They're not providing any type of assistance to you at all. How does that help the situation? Because you are definitely, I believe, enabling that individual to continue that disruptive and destructive behavior, because it's disruptive to the household. Because if mom or dad is not getting that that support from he or she that should be that source of support, what happens in that case? I mean, because that I truly believe it's not even supportive. You're not being supportive at that point. You're being an enabler, and it's almost like you're an enabler because you have no choice. It's by default. Somebody has to do it. So what happens in that situation? Anybody?
I think you're creating a situation with the person that you are not providing for to become the same individual you are.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Oh,
creating
I
a
like that.
foundation. You're creating that foundation because that child is seeing a lack of support and they become that person that is a lack of supporter as well, because they may feel, oh, well, the hell with it. They wasn't there for me. Why should I be there for them? You're creating, you're perpetuating the cycle and the circle of, you know, just having that one parent decide what's good. And then, you know, you out of the blue want to think you have a say, but you're never around. You don't get a say anymore.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's
Our
stay
whole
right
life is
there.
learned behavior. Our whole
You
life
might
is
turn
about
your
learned behavior.
turn your phone down because
Mhm.
you're getting a lot of interference.
Okay.
Okay, let's stay right there. So I like what Bird, I believe, was saying regarding the creating a cycle. So let's say dad for say is the person that's providing all of the assistance, and mom or the person that is the guardian is not assisting in any way and is being permitted to do so because dad doesn't want no problems. He wants to see his child. He just wants to spend time with his children, and that woman is being totally disruptive to the mission at hand. She's teaching the children to basically disrespect the father in every way and disregard what he brings to the table under the guise, this is what he's supposed to be doing because this is what men are for. Do you think that that becomes enabling behavior because it becomes a tendency for the children? And let's talk about and mainly the daughters just watching their mothers be disruptive in this sense. Anybody want to jump on that, Elizabeth?
Can you explain that a little bit more?
So
I want to eat now.
Okay. Let's be
Because
clear about this.
I have
This
my daughter, she has 3 kids, and
Yep.
she always seen me and her father work together. And with her baby daddy, he is never around. He wants to try to act daddy whenever he feels like it, but he's never there. And so I'm all like, that's no good for you. I taught you how to be independent. You don't need a man. I taught my boys, they don't need a woman. Y'all know how to take care of yourselves.
So,
You gotta do what you gotta do. If he's no good for you, then you need to leave him alone. Move on.
I keep on gonna keep on saying the signs, always signs to pick up on, and you ignore them because you just try not to believe that this is what's really going on, but it is because you feel it in your gut. If your gut is telling you, giving you a reaction, and your gut feeling is real, and what your gut is feeling is the truth. It never lies to you.
Okay, let me go back to what I was asking you guys. So Elizabeth gave us an example of a mom supporting and providing her children with the skills to stand alone. They don't have to rely on a mate or the co-parent. I was referring in the situation. Let me try to give it to you another way. So let's say if you see one of your brethren, your sisters, another female around you, totally just being disrespectful to the father that is providing. He's making sure he does his visitation. He's making sure he pays his child support. He he comes into your home and is totally respectful, and the woman in turn is totally disrespectful to him. And if you, as women, you guys are witnessing this behavior, is that enabling? Anybody, women, any of you ladies, you can answer that.
I can see it going both ways in that situation, and it's not fair for the kids at all, because they the ones really getting hurt in the whole outcome.
Well,
It could
again,
enable them as growing up and like disrespecting women or disrespecting men, thinking men ain't shit, women ain't shit, and things like that.
Right.
so
And I think you would have to keep in mind that when your kids get older, and they start to resent men or the women who wasn't there. You know, they resent those that, and they remember. So, you know, you have to do things for the kids and keep keep things straight down as partners, as a team. Even if you can't stand each other, we are, in the kids' eyes, we a happy family, you know.
Timmy, let me stop you right there. How many women are still active in this meeting? I hear Elizabeth, I hear Tanya, I hear Patsy. Is Maria and Josie still online? Maria and Josie?
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right, so this is what I'm gonna ask you, ladies, because I don't know if you guys are purposely evading trying not to answer that question. So I'm gonna ask the men. So if you seen one of your brothers being totally disrespectful to the mother of your children, now I'm asking the men, because the women, you guys didn't answer the question, so I'm asking the men now. And this man is being totally disrespectful to this woman. He's just being non-compliant to anything she's asking of him. She makes sure that the children are available for the visitations and everything, and he's not paying his child support. He's just doing everything to disrupt the household and her parenting. Is that enabling behavior as a fellow man to sit idly by and watch this behavior continue? Bird, you want to answer that question?
Yeah, is it enabling to allow a man to disrupt the home that doesn't pay child support?
No.
I don't want to say.
Go ahead, Bird. Go ahead.
I don't want to say it's enabling, because some women feel like they don't need it. If they don't want to do it, then that's that man's loss. And there's some women that are out there doing mommy and daddy game. I don't know if it's necessarily want to call it enabling. It's just calling it survival. There's a lot of women out here that are doing it out without them daddies and say, fuck you, excuse my language, I don't need your money, I don't need none of that, I'm going to do it myself. And big up to those ladies.
Right.
But at the end of the day,
as a man, what I'm asking you guys is, if we're witnessing one of our brothers failing to step up to the plate and do what's needed, and we never say nothing about his behavior, and we all take care of our responsibilities, and we make a tendency not to speak on this or not to confront this person about their behavior, are we enabling this behavior?
No, I would say people pick their battles.
It's not our place. It's not our place.
Using the wrong word.
People would pick their battles because somebody would want to fight somebody, then it'll be a whole different story. You get what I'm saying? Sometimes you don't need to say something to somebody because you don't know how that person's gonna react.
It's what Bird said. It's not your place.
Well, I'm
going
gonna
to story to tell. I mean, now if it's a very close friend,
It depends
Or
on
a
your
family
relationship
member.
with that person. If that's one of your
Thank you.
homeboys, you know, and you seeing this happen, and
Definitely
y'all got that
depends.
type of relationship, then if you don't say anything, if you don't try to help him see the error of his ways, then
Yes.
maybe that would be enabling, but
Yeah.
not just no random.
Well, I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna speak from my experience. For all my friends and probably family members that are male, I talk to them all about neglect because I'm for the children. So if you're in front of me and you're acting like you don't have to do nothing, she's about this life, she's taking care of it all, and you're not seeing your children, you're not paying no bills over there and all that, and you think you're gonna sit down with me and get the praise of being a good dad or a supporter or somebody that's paying bills or helping raise your children, you're not, I'm going to have a talk with you. And it's going to go sort of like this. You can be better, not just for the children, for you. Because in the end, your child is your future. You treat them like dirt right now and laugh on the side or behind their backs thinking you're getting over on mommy. You're really hurting yourself and your child. So I wouldn't sit there and not say nothing to my friend or family member. I'm going to say, listen, I did this for X amount of years, did it this way. Maybe you should try it. If it don't work for you, try something else. What is your problem? Tell me why you so bitter. Why are you treating them? Was your father in your life? Are you doing a repeat pattern with your own children? So it's going to be a discussion. I'm not going to just ignore it.
All right, well put. Sean,
Well
I think
said.
Sean just jumped in. Sean, you want to jump right in here?
All right, what was the?
That was well said.
So the question was, if one of your brethren, one of your brothers, your friends, your family member, was displaying a certain behavior where they was failing to take care of their responsibilities, and you and others around you take care of responsibilities as it pertains to the family, do you confront this individual or do you say nothing? At what point does that become your behavior becomes enabling? What do you say about that?
Yeah, you definitely. I would definitely say something because I mean I come from a background to where we were brought up that you handle your responsibilities, and you align yourself or with individuals that move that way, and if your character is that, then you can't help but be that kind of way around me because you know that I'm not going to tolerate anything like that, anything less. I'll give you all a real short personal, like one of my siblings. Now he feels like because he takes care of everything financially that he doesn't have to really be there physically, and so we we let it go for a little while because of the way that he would be. Like he's one of those family members that you say something, you tell him something for their good, but he feels like everyone's jumping on him, and he'll disappear on you. So you kind of tiptoe with it. Well, now that we're much older, you can't sugarcoat certain things with folks anymore. And so, the answer to your question is yes. I would definitely have to say, yo, bro, like, bro, sis, whatever, that ain't right, and you need to do better. You gotta do better.
So you would agree to say nothing is being an enabler?
Oh yeah, because you're allowing, especially if you don't agree with it. If it's something that you don't agree with and you don't speak up on it, then you're just about as guilty as that individual.
So I think that the other gentlemen, both Gregory and Byrne, referring to the level of comfort that you share or that you have with the individual that makes that possible, because there are some of us that are rather sensitive about certain subjects, and we can be very temperamental and we're unapproachable. about certain things. But again, I feel like to say nothing is to say nothing is to do nothing, you know,
Yeah.
and that's still doing something in itself because you're allowing that behavior. And that, in a sense, tells those individuals that, okay, I'm cool with this. If you like it, I love it. And I don't think that's the message that
I just think in that situation you have to be prepared for the worst, but hope for
But
the
why does
best.
it
You
have
get what
to
I'm
be
saying?
that
Because
way? Why does
you
it
would
have to
have to
be that
be
way
prepared for
when
the
you
worst,
claim to
but
be a
hope for the
friend?
best because
Well,
this is your
that's not
friend.
true.
You might
friend.
potentially lose a friendship with the words that you're about
Nah,
to say to them. Some people might
nah,
take it as
because
a positive, but
if that's your,
you might have somebody like you just said that want to jump to conclusions, and now it might be a physical altercation.
Well, see, that
I mean, me
person's being
personally,
overly sensitive, in
I'm
my
not
opinion.
friends with somebody
yes,
who ain't
that's
shit
what I was
like
gonna
me.
say.
Yeah,
I mean,
that,
you're gonna surround yourself by people that are more positive and
right, right.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm not gonna call somebody that ain't shit and ain't doing for their kids a friend. You're not a friend. You're not
Right,
somebody I
right.
want to be around. You're not a positive person to help encourage change. That type of people, you have to separate yourself from. And honestly, most of the people that are in that situation that don't do for their kids haven't been done for them. So
Exactly.
it's a learned behavior that people, tend to follow because they're going through their own oppression as well.
You only do what you've been taught. You do what you've been taught.
Right.
You know, so if you wasn't taught and you saw people that wasn't taking care of their kids or wasn't doing for their kids, then that's what you know. And
One
if
second,
you
Timmy. Tech person, can you take care of that interference, please? Okay.
If you are not talking, mute your phone. Mute your phone if you are not talking.
And to
There you go.
piggyback off of what the two brothers just said, when like some people say that sometimes you're taught that action and this and the other, and I do agree with that. But then there's another side to what I've witnessed to where some people are just selfish like that. Some people are just selfish, and that's even worse than being taught or experiencing not being able to show that love or that level of taking care of your responsibility, because I believe no matter what you've been around, what you've been taught, this, that, and the other, I'm a firm believer in once you become of a certain age, common sense to you has to kick in somewhere.
exactly.
You know right from wrong.
Common sense ain't so common. You can't rely on common sense.
It ain't, but it is, because you're aware that you take it from the common sense. We know right from wrong, and we choose to do one or the other.
Yep.
Okay, so let's take it back to let's go back to the whole enabling factor. All right. So again, let's talk about the children. Let's go back to the children. So, and all those with children and dealt with children, this is, let's open up older siblings and things of that nature. So let's talk about and this is going to be sensitive, but again, like I said, just because it's a sensitive subject does not mean we're not going to touch it. So let's talk about children who live at home. I'm gonna say they're adult children, and they just aren't always being productive, and they basically they're doing nothing. Just as call it what it is. They're doing nothing. So they're not being productive in any way. They bring nothing to the household except disruption, disorder. If we say nothing, if we don't try to motivate them to do something outside of what's become painfully the norm of just being unproductive, is that enabling in a sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sir.
So what do you say?
You have to, the person has to want, you know, if you come, because you can't keep on depending, because that gets played out. And so you as, or that person as an individual has to want to change, want to get money, want to not depend on people.
Okay. So again, the person's being totally unproductive. They don't want to do no chores.
You get the fuck out of my house.
Well,
Right.
that's I think that's how most people
You can go pull that in
the
somebody else's house and see how that
Damn
flies, and
right.
they'll come back.
it ain't gonna fly. It ain't
They'll
gonna
come
fly.
back.
Right.
So y'all, I see everybody's quick in agreement that won't hold any weight. Like no one's gonna be an enabler whereas that's concerned, right?
No, you can't be, because
Can we all agree upon that, both men and women?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take it a step further. So why is it that when we see certain individuals displaying that same that same type of behavior, disruptive behavior, it's just that nan behavior? And let me be clear about this. There's such thing as a nan and a man. They shouldn't get the same distinction. They are both something different. A man is someone that's accountable. A nan is someone that is not. That last N is interchangeable. We won't use the word for the sake of argument, but let your imagination run wild. So again, I will say this. Why is it that a lot of times people say nothing when these individuals become an influence on the young people around us? Because I feel like that behavior, those individuals become enablers if we allow them to be of an influence on our children. Does anybody agree or disagree? Anybody, just jump in.
I don't know what that means.
That is twofold. If I'm understanding you correctly.
Yes, you are.
Right.
Yes, you are.
When we sit back and allow individuals to move that way, in certain cases, if we're talking about, our offsprings, a lot of times we get frustrated with the fact of constantly repeating ourselves about something. Then we turn around and we get that, I don't know, subconsciously we get that guilt of you want to say something, you want to put your foot on top of their head or this and that and the other, but then you don't want to run them off and lose them.
Yeah.
And
run off and go see what the world is like.
And see, and I'm all for that all day. But now I'm going to speak to the reality of how some of us can, we know that our words and our actions of how our offsprings will take certain things, and what we don't, and what we're fearful of is them running off, and we end up losing them to whether it be the streets or just don't see them at all.
Right.
You
And so
get it. So that's the other influence that I was speaking of, the street life. And,
yes, but to what Bird was saying too, if you be harsh, tough love and say, yo, I'm not going for that. And you can't, because you're going to have to respect somebody. Everybody has to follow rules. You can follow rules under the guidance of your parents, or you can follow the rules of the penitentiary. Either way, you're going to follow the rules.
Right.
I
So,
have for my oldest son, I did tell him to come move in with me, but his situation was different because at one point he was homeless and he did not want to tell me anything
Right,
at
because
all.
he
I
because
found
he
out he
had
was
pride.
living at the railroad tracks, even though he had a job.
oh,
He still
Right,
was,
he had
and
pride.
I was like, no, you can't do that. I don't care. You coming back in Boston with me, and we'll
Mm-hmm.
find you another job. You cannot do that. Anything can happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, he wanted to be on his own. He didn't want to have to lean on his moms. You know, he felt like I'm a man and I'm supposed to be doing this on my own. I can't. I could go. I got a job. I'm supporting myself, but I don't got a roof over my head, and I'm okay with not having a roof over my head. And I don't want to tell my moms this because I don't want her to worry about me, but as a mother, that's what you would do. You don't want your kids to be out there struggling. You don't want them to be, especially homeless. So of course you're gonna say, come home, son. You always got a home to come back home to if you're down and out. To
okay.
any of your kids.
Okay, let me ask you guys this question. I'm gonna go ahead and stir it up. So women and men, I'm gonna ask you guys this question. Within your lifetime, because everybody is adults in this podcast, is participating in this podcast. So do you think that men are more enablers or women are prone to be enablers? I'm gonna let the ladies answer that first. And don't give it no real thought. I just want you to, based upon your experience, I want you to just go on there and throw it out there. So, Patsy, we're gonna go to you first.
Okay, I think it depends on the situation for the person. Like sometimes, depending with women, we can be able in different situations and and yeah, because like I said, I was enabling my ex-husband with the drug addiction, but then like he also had like grown children when I meet him and stuff. And I think he allowed his kids to, especially his son, to continue his bad behavior and allow him because he felt guilty because he wasn't always there for his kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it depends on the situation. Why, you know, they can be more enablers like to their grown children if they haven't been and physically in the home because they do left the mother or whatever, but I was more the enabler that was trying to be
So,
and trying to support him, but it turned into enablement of continuous drug addiction and him not supporting me financially to pay bills and stuff. So I think it depends on the reason behind the enablement. See what I'm saying?
Enabling is enabling. There's no reason.
Right.
Oh, babe.
I think women are more prone to enable because
Yes.
in my case,
Yeah.
I want to take care of it. I want to fix things. I want to
Right.
nurture.
Right.
So for
Yes. Yes.
me, a female would be more of an enabler
I
more than
agree.
a
Women are
male.
the natural
Yes.
nurturing component of a child. So they become more of a nurturer opposed to more of a disciplinarian when you have a, when you have a two-family household.
Mm-hmm.
You got the women paying the nurturer, covering your boo-boos, giving you kisses, tucking you in, and you got the men saying, get up, toughen up, scrape that off, shut up, stop acting like this. We're
Right.
more of the, the
I
pusher.
played both those parts. I played both those parts. I hate
Right.
hearing kids cry. Go over there in the corner. When you're done, come back to me. If you're hurt, then I'll take care of you. But if you're not
Mhm.
hurt, go over there and cry. And when you're done, then you could come talk to me.
I've
I
done
don't want to
that.
hear it.
My neighbor's kids.
Or if they get hurt, I always was all like, "Oh, you broke the floor. You seen what you just did?" And they just forget all about they hurt.
Right. They just want you to give them that attention at that time.
So what I'm hearing from from those of you just spoken, Patsy, Timmy, Elizabeth, and Bert, you guys feel that women are more prone to be enablers as opposed to men. Am I correct in saying?
No, because you got men that you got some men that do the same as a woman would do for their kids.
I would second that. I believe that if we was doing a percentage, I used to think that it was like 95 to maybe 5% men. But right now, in this time of age, I say some women are not there for their children. Then still there's men that's not there for their children. So I would say a 90% of the women are enablers and 10% of men are, because me, myself, I have my children living with me. And there was things that I just let pass over my shoulder because it's one of them situations, if you don't mind, it don't matter. The only way it matters is if you start to let it be a mind factor in your life. So I was doing stuff for this household, and then if I can help the other household, I was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me ask you guys this, and Sean, I'll start with you. So do you think that men we enable certain behavior because of out of guilt, or we feel like that we could be doing more, or due to an absence? Sean, you still here with us?
You got
Okay,
his
Sean
mic
might
on.
Hold on. All right, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can hear you.
Yep. I can speak from experience. I was big time with that, and because of the fact of, like I said, for those of you that heard my story, I have 3 sets of kids, and although I was in all of their lives, the oldest 2, I weren't in their lives like I should have been, but my middle 3, I raised them from babies up into present day. And so there was a lot of things that I did with them that I did and that I allowed to happen with certain ones because of what I missed out on doing with the older 2. So I was trying to overcompensate, but was big time enabling my kids being spoiled to the degree to where at one point I was almost like their friend than more than their father. And so, yeah, so men can do that when they're trying to think that they're trying to make up for lost times or make up for something that they think that they've lacked in.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. That's straight to the point. Maria, you still with us? Okay, I don't
She
know if
got her
she's
mic
having.
on.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so Maria, so let me ask you this because I didn't get your view on this. Do you think that women can be more of an enabler as
Yes,
opposed
I
to a
told
man,
y'all
or vice
yes,
versa?
yes. I told from the start that I feel that's what I do. That's what I am. You know.
So let's expand this. So mothers, and fathers at this point. Everybody, let's just jump right in on this. So if we are an enablers for our children and family, are we enablers an extension for their mates and family and the mates family? I mean, where does it stop? Where's the cutoff point? Let's start with Maria.
I mean, I think that's cut off right there for me. For that, but it's more or less for my family and for my kids, my grandkids. There might be a couple of dear friends, but when you start pushing it to your mate's family, yeah, I don't do that.
Okay. So let me go to Bird. So Bird, what do you say to someone this on the outside looking in and they say to you or said to someone else that you know, said, you're too much of an enabler, you do too much for your children, that you gotta let them learn, figure it out on their own. What do you say to those individuals? Bird, are you still with us? All right, Bird might be having mic problems. So Robert, I'll ask you the same question. What do you say to to individuals on the outside looking in and they say to you, you're doing too much for this child. This child's walking all over you. You need to let them figure it out on their own. You need to let them fall. What do you say to those individuals?
I probably would ask them, you have a lot of time on your hand to pay attention to all the right and all the dealings I'm doing with mine. My concern with you is, what are you not doing with yours? Are you doing anything at all with yours? Maybe you are envy of what mine is getting and what yours might not be receiving, because you can never fix your lips and tell me I'm doing too much for mine. I'm doing everything I do for mine out of love. And I'm showing them how to love theirs if they ever have children. So I don't think that it's a such thing in my case that someone can tell me I'm doing too much. That's just my natural love for my children. At times, I don't think I was doing enough, but I know that's not to be the case because I know what I get done. So you telling me I'm doing too much, let's concentrate on what you can do more on with your own.
I like that. I like that. Let me stay right with that. Elizabeth, are you still with us?
Yes.
Okay, Elizabeth, how do you respond to someone that says, you're such an enabler? You're always trying to do things for them. When are they going to be able to stand on their own and go alone, go it alone? What do you say to those individuals?
For me, it's always a learning experience. You could always learn. And my kids are always learning. And I know my kids could do it on their own. But right now, they can't. So I'm helping them.
Mm-hmm. So so if someone was to refer to you as an enabler, is that a badge of honor or is it a shame?
Neither. In my case, neither. Because for me, I support my kids when they need the support. When I feel I'm taken advantage of, that's when I cut it off and be like, no, you got to do it yourself.
Love it. Love it. Love the response. Okay, let's keep it going. Timmy, how do you feel about that situation? If someone told you that you are too much of an enabler, you do far too much for your children.
I just don't pay that no mind, because you can't tell me what I do because you're not walking in my shoes to know what I'm doing. So therefore, I pay no mind, and I probably would think the same thing Robert said. What are you worried about what I'm doing with mine? You know, you can do the same thing for yours. If you worried about mine, you must not be doing for yours like I'm doing for mine. That's why you say that.
Okay. Okay.
What
So I'm gonna
about
keep
when they siblings talk about you do more for them than you do for me? How about that one?
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well,
May I? I mean,
Go ahead.
I was having this conversation with someone earlier. So I make allowances for children, and when I was a little young, I used to extend that, say make allowances for both women and children. But be it male or female, when you're an adult, I hold you fully accountable. And when another adult tells me that I'm doing far too much for a child as opposed to them,
mm,
that is a mute conversation. Uh,
yeah.
it's it's I don't mean mute, I mean mute. I hit the mute button. I'm not even hearing what you have to say at that point. I don't even entertain those conversations.
Leave the kitchen.
Somebody's
Mm-hmm.
trying to speak. Who's that? Sean, you wanna take it from there? Sean, can you
Well,
hear me?
see,
I think Sean's having mic problems.
No,
All
all
right,
right,
so
here I am.
hey,
there you go. All right, go ahead, Sean.
Keep muting. Can you guys hear me?
Yep,
yep.
we can.
All right. Your question was to me?
So, we're talking about the individual. So, actually, Elizabeth presented a question. What do you say to a sibling or another adult that says, "You do more for the children than you do for me"? So, in a sense, they want you to be more of an enabler for them as opposed to the child. What do you say to those individuals?
Wow, that's interesting. Um, I guess it the wow. Um, okay. So I keep trying not to use too many personal experiences. So
Just
um,
don't use names.
with 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 that, I think that for a mate to say that to her mate, there's something else that's going on
Mhm.
for her to acknowledge that or bring that up as a subject, meaning that he's clearly when she says something that profound and that bold to him,
Mhm.
then it's not so much that he's always doing something for them, only. He's just not doing enough in her eyes for her. And he's
So,
not doing it with the same passion and with the same zeal that she is used to.
mhm. And let me be clear about this. I think Elizabeth was referring. I think she was creating a scenario where she said, be it a family member, be it a sibling or family member. Not necessarily have to be the mate, but let's go with that. Let's she stay there with the mate that says that to you about your children. Sean, you want to touch base on that, and then Tanya, I want you to follow up.
Well, I had a situation years ago when my oldest daughter was first born.
Mm-hmm.
Now, me and her mom, we did everything together. Everything. But once my daughter was born, I started going over to her house, and I would go there after work and would go to her house for like 4 or 5 hours before going home. And the whole entire time, now my baby is a baby, and my whole entire attention was on my child.
Mm-hmm.
And this is before I ever knew anything about postpartum or anything like that. And she said to me one day, and I mean, she was upset, she was crying the whole nine. And me being young, ignorant, not understanding any of this or where she was coming from, she said to me, all you do is come over here and you see the baby and you don't never spend any time with me. And in my ignorance, I didn't hear what she was saying. All I heard was, how are you being jealous of your child?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And so as we get older, based on this conversation that we're having, when we get older, and again, when we're doing things for our children and this and the other, and like I said, it's not so much that we're not doing anything with our mate, we're not doing it with she's not feeling or receiving what it is that we're doing with the same zeal and passion that we're doing for other people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in our eyes, we think we're doing okay by her. But what we don't see or realize is that she's looking and she's feeling and she's observing how you do things with everyone else as opposed to what you're doing with me.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's not always about that we're doing more for the others. It's just the passion or the feeling behind it is not the same.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great discussion. Tech person, can you give me time? How much time we got left? What are we approaching the hour?
It's actually 8:33.
Someone give me a time. What time is it?
It's 8:30.
Okay. So Tanya, I'm gonna let you go, and then we're gonna hear from Patsy, and then I'm gonna have some final words, and we're gonna wrap it up. Okay. Tanya, go. You got the floor.
And I'm talking about what? In the sibling aspect or mate aspect?
Either or. How do you feel when a sibling or a mate or another adult says you do more for you're more of an enabler for your child than you are for me, basically?
I have to do the siblings because the mate situation, that's mute. Well, I'll just do it as for my kids. My kids think that, well, I'll say the boys think that we do more for the girls than we do for the boys. In particular, Shaquana gets all the attention. We do more for Shaquana than anybody. And as far as my kids is concerned, Shaquana,
well, she's the youngest. She's the youngest,
but she's the one that's always up under us.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not that I love her more or do more. It's that she's the one that's there. And the rest of them, I do for them.
Right.
Like I do for her. But we see her almost every day.
Right.
So it just appears like she gets more.
So is it safe to say you make more allowances for her because are you saying that she requires them, or is just because it's just a nurturing thing to do?
I'm a nurturer, period. I mean, she receives the nurturing more. The boys are more like,
independent
and not, I'm not going to say they're not nurturing, but they don't always show their emotions.
Right.
Okay.
Shaquana, she calls me every day. I talk to Kiyomi almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
So the girls are, the girls, we go to the hairdresser together when they was younger.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that we I did more with the girls than I did with the boys. I felt like the boys should have been with my husband.
Mm-hmm.
But nurturing to them all, yes. But there's different aspects. I'm the woman, so I dealt with the females. He's the man, he dealt with the men.
That's how.
Okay. All right.
That's how it's supposed to be.
I want to be fair. Patsy, you got the floor.
Okay. I think like if you have a sibling fussing with you, or you taking care of your kids, and not paying attention to them, it's like you're not trying to like ignore your siblings or ignore like one sibling over the other. So it's like you gotta try to maintain it, it's like you show them different things at different times and stuff. You know, it's like, yeah, it's like depending on the situation and what you're doing with the child or children, you know, you gotta balance it. It's a balancing act, and then you know, and then the kids or your siblings don't always see what you're doing, and so they feel kind of like put out with what you're doing. Not that you're not spending time with them. It's like you want to spend time with them, but you gotta put your priorities first. First, like, if you're a parent, your kids come first. You know, and then your adult siblings come after that. You know, it's like you can't always. Okay, yeah, you want to hang out with your siblings and your friends and your aunts, uncles, or grandparents, parents, or whoever it is that wants your time also. But you got to think about what's more important. And that's how I.
Yeah.
And then go back to them, you know, and
Okay.
explain. Yeah.
Let me see. Did I give everybody a chance to wrap up? Maria, is Maria still with us?
Yeah.
Maria, you have any parting words? Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. So guys, let me just say this.
Sorry, I couldn't turn on my mic, but no, I'm all
And
set.
you gotta ask Josie too.
Well, I didn't know that you guys were still here. So Josie, do you have any final words? Whereas what do you say to someone that says that you're far too much of an enabler, you gotta let your child figure it out on their own?
I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing. He didn't ask to be here, so that's what it is. I'm not an enabler. I want to see people do better, and that's my child, if that's what my child. So I'm going to do what I need to do for him. And again, no child asks to be here. We bring them here. So we already, and if we don't know what is installed, then we probably should be thinking why we're bringing children in, but they didn't ask to be here. So I'm going to continue to support them until, like Elizabeth said, they start to act like they're taken advantage of. And then, you know, to give them a reality check, you know? But other than that, I love my child. I love my nephews. I love my nieces. I love my family and my extended family. So if anybody at any time needs something and I have it to give, I always extend it. So, you know, that's who I am. And I'll continue to be that way. So if anybody thinks I'm something different, then, oh, well, that's your opinion. But
let me give you guys some wisdom. You know, I like to leave you with something to ponder. So someone told me, you know, true wisdom comes when you close your mouth and listen. So this is a listening moment. So an enabler versus a nurturer is two different things. An enabler is someone that usually allows a certain behavior and it permits a certain behavior, it caters to it. A nurturer is somebody that provides loving influence and support. They are not one and the same. There are clear distinctions. So I think we need to be aware of that, totally aware of that. Enabler can be a man or a woman, it could be a mother or a father, it could be a mate, it could be a sibling. We just need to be aware of the disruptive, destructive behavior that's often associated with enablement. So, as Elizabeth said, it's support until it becomes abuse. And as Timmy clearly keeps stating, in each of these episodes, you have to pay attention to the signs. If you do not, then you will not be able to discern which is enablement and which is nurturing, what is support, and what is abuse. But I'm gonna leave you guys with that until the next time. God bless you all. Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.